Competition is healthy and can lead people wanting to better themselves more and more to eventually claim that #1 spot. Whether it be jumping and tumbling all over unconventional platforms, or a game of wits where you need to trick your friends. No matter which of these two methods you prefer, they will eventually clash in this upcoming death battle, which is... Among Us versus Fall Guys. I can't believe I have to fucking research this. This matchup is wanted because both Among Us and Fall Guys were a sort of social party game that started during the pandemic. Well, I believe Among Us started before the pandemic but got really big during it. And this is a point in time where people were forced to be indoors and wanted to be more social. People just wanted any way to interact with each other. And these games helped. It's honestly pretty much nothing in terms of a connection, but with both what I just mentioned and their simplistic similar designs, I can see where people draw their parallels. Starting off with the Among Us side, we have two different units, the crewmates and the imposters. For the stats I've seen online, for power, the crewmates get wall level and the imposter gets small building level. For speed, the crewmate gets average human and the imposter gets subsonic to transonic. And for durability, they list both the imposter and crewmate as wall level. For their abilities, I'm just going to start with the imposter because it's easier, honestly. The imposter can snap necks easily, has a gun that can, well, shoot you, can unhinge his mouth and use his tongue to pierce people, stab people with a knife, shoot a laser beam from his eyes, elongate his body, and rip people in half just by running into them. He can shapeshift and change the appearance of all other crewmates, can manipulate technology, turn invisible. Now, I'm not sure if they'll use it, but in the Vampire Survivor crossover, the imposter has a laser gun that just rips planets in two. If they use this, then it'd be a big plus on the Among Us side. The imposter also appears in Samurai Gun 2. This appearance is mostly the same, but the imposter can now disguise himself as objects. Place two vents around the environment that will connect to each other no matter where they're placed. For the crewmates, I'm gonna be a little controversial. I'm gonna assume they have a knife and a gun on themselves. This is because the imposter takes over someone's body. I really doubt he brought the gun and knife himself. I'm pretty sure the knife and gun are on the people he's possessing, so I'm gonna assume that other crewmates have this type of equipment. But overall, the crewmates aren't too well versed in combat like the imposter is. The crewmates do, however, have a few special units that can do different things, like the scientist who can keep his eyes on the vitals of all other crewmates, the engineer who can use vents with ease, the noisemaker which makes a noise when they die, the tracker who can put a tracker on someone and track them, and the guardian angel, where after a crewmate dies, they can become a ghost that can create shields to protect other crewmates. Honestly, they don't really do much. The game is all about going around the environment and fixing minor technical problems, so you can argue that the Among Us characters probably are pretty smart, at least comparative to most of the Fall Guys. But how do the Fall Guys compare? For the Fall Guys, their power is listed at large town level, their speed at faster than light, which is crazy, and their durability at large town level. The Fall Guys can do almost nothing, but also kinda everything. They can jump, dive in the air, slap, throw people and items, take items out of opponents' hands quite easily, and can survive pretty much anything. They can't really be harmed. No matter how much they've been pierced, fallen off large cliffs, been flattened, etc., they've never taken any damage. I don't know how you kill the damn bean. The most we see is a bean respawn, but I'll get more into the logistics of that later. That's all boring shit. Let's get into the more interesting shit to keep things fresh. Some Fall Guys costumes have weapons like El Chapulín Colorado's hammer. Can use an object called a blast ball to both explode and shoot some sort of light when the ball is inside this container. This is probably where the light speed feat comes from, and we also know this light does harm people seeing as it drilled a hole through this guy's hat. They have a box that can bunt an opponent away, they can ride a board in space, carry other Fall Guys with piggyback, can roll around with beanball, can turn invisible, can throw a small electronic rhino that will roll in a straight line before exploding. Plus they have multiple balls that they can kick around with ease. The Fall Guys are not fighters in the slightest, but they aren't easy to kill and have plenty of unconventional equipment that could lead them to victory. Now, two things that I don't know if they'll give the Fall Guys is both creative mode abilities and ceiling/dimension hopping. We can see the Fall Guys directly create items in the trailer for creative mode, using nothing but their belt. And in the mobile trailer, you can see them directly steal other Fall Guys into the phone world, and then come back out of the phone world after, just without any problems. I'm honestly not sure if they'll permit these two abilities, but they would be interesting. The last thing I'll note is that there's this extremely intelligent Fall Guy named Silent. This Fall Guy can teleport himself and others, and communicate using a communicator, probably. He's by far the smartest Fall Guy, and can guide otherwise brainless beings into victory. That's pretty much all the important information I've seen on the Fall Guys, so what do I want to see? So to be real, I've never known anything about either of these series before I started researching this death battle, so it's a bit hard to think of how the fight could go. But I'd like to see the crewmates strategize, doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff, while the Fall Guys just kinda stumble around like idiots. I want to see a hybrid of an Among Us and a Fall Guys map, seeing plenty of obstacles around the set while also having vents and electronics from the Among Us crew to utilize. And I want to see the imposter start killing both sides, dwindling his side while the Fall Guys either survive his attacks or respawn after a few seconds while the imposter thinks he's dwindling down the enemy forces. These two forces are very unconventional, so I sit here wondering, who wins this? So I've heard of a star level feat from Fall Guys, where one of the Fall Guys is literally tracing a constellation, but I have no idea how you'd scale that. The Fall Guys are also in Fortnite, don't know if you want to give them Fortnite scaling, but that could be something that leads them to a victory. Either way, I think the Fall Guys win. The lore is a bit hard to follow, at least the hidden lore where you have to find all these fucking developer interviews and stuff, so we don't exactly know what happens when a Fall Guy respawns. I've seen both explanations that they either don't die and they just sit into a void until they respawn, or they do die and they are immediately replaced with an identical Fall Guy upon respawn. Personally, I just can't see the Fall Guys dying in general, at least not to the Among Us crew. They get hit with so much and generally outscale the normal crewmates. Guns, knives, lasers, I don't think any of that will actually do anything to the beam. Now, I'm not sure how the death battle will get laid out, how many participants will be part of it, but if it's a one-on-one, Fall Guys win. If it's a group against group, the Fall Guys completely outnumber the crewmates, so they still win. Only the imposter has combat experience, and he also has a gun that potentially could blow up the planet. But the Fall Guys could just come back and somehow crush the imposter. Plus, if you buy the fact that Silent can teleport anyone with ease, and the fact that Silent has his own satellite to control everything, I think they have a way to easily turn around even if the planet is destroyed, and still somehow crush the imposter. All I'm asking is please, dear God, don't let me be wrong a fourth time, please. God damn it. In any case, it'll be interesting to see the episode drop. Out of the 4 episodes that were announced, I'm the least invested in this by far, but I still think they can make a fun battle, and just an overall lighthearted way to end off this year. Hopefully I'll get Bowser vs. Eggman's review done next week, and hopefully this comes out Monday like I want it to. But in any case, everyone, I hope you all take care, and let me know who you think wins in either my community tab or the comments. And also, if I missed anything, please tell me. Have a wonderful day.